March, we started having issues last week and weren't able to go live. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to see. So the first card I'm going to show today is our Valentine's card. And some of the girls don't need Valentine cards. They were able to make it into a birthday card for somebody in February who had a birthday. It has hearts, and yeah, it's got some candies on it. They looked really, really cute. So the cool thing about this card, it uses the bundle that has the hybrid embossing folder. And that is, we're using the Sweet Conversations stamp set, and this embossing folder comes bundled with Love and Happiness. There's these lean towards like you're engaged, happy anniversary, my love for my husband, to the cutest couple ever. So this embossing folder has, it's the thick, that's why they call it dynamic. It has dies that also come with it, including a heart. There are actually 2 hearts, 2 conversation or sentiment, and then flowers. And we use the dynamic embossing folder with the die. And they call this a hybrid because they have put a spot in it where that die nestles right down in its own little spot. You can put your designer series paper or your cardstock on top of it and cut it out and emboss it at the same time. So when you close your folder, you can see if you have it in there. My pieces of paper were a little chintzy this time, so you had to be careful. And I'm going to show you something different about mine versus my sample. Let me get it cut out for you. I didn't do much prep ahead of time today, so hopefully you won't mind me hopping back and forth. I have my die cutting machine on a table behind me. All right, the fun. It's kind of a hold your breath moment. So the die comes out. You have the cute piece. It's embossed. Some people are creative enough to figure out how to use that. And then you have your heart. And I cut my heart out first and then embossed it. I like it using the die in the folder because you get this cool little border that is not embossed, that gives it a little definition. You can see how this one, it's embossed all the way to the edge, and that's fine. That looks really, really pretty. This looks even prettier. So we were talking about, I wonder what they're going to come out with for Christmas, because I could see a lot of different opportunities for really cute Christmas stuff. Okie dokie. So I have all my pieces. The white piece, of course, goes inside. This is Blushing Bride, and it is a light pink, but I think I'm kind of beginning to like to put a liner in them. It just dresses them up a little bit and makes them look a little more professional. The sentiment we used on the inside says, "Happy to have you in my life." I'm not going to take the time to stamp that on the video right now, but I am going to go ahead and put together my designer series paper. This is the cutest Valentine paper. They always have cute Valentine paper. And I know my arms are probably right up in your face. Well, it doesn't look too bad. This one, there's not it's not a one-way design because they've got the red hearts going up and down. So that makes it kind of easy to work with whenever you're not having to worry about what's up and what's down. It is mounted on gorgeous, Highland Heather. Oh, I should have written it down. And if you want measurements for these, you'll just have to let me know. I did not write up PDFs, but I can give you cutting instructions. They were a little bit tedious, as you might notice. because it's not your usual 4 by 5 1/4. It's a little bit different look. So you just layer that on. It's only about 1/8 of an inch mat around these little pieces of designer series paper. We're used to the 1/4 inch. This just gives it a little detail without taking up a lot of space. Gives some definition to your paper. And I am going to go ahead and mount that on my card front. And for this, it was cut 4 by 5 1/4, so I can just eye up a border around it that looks like 1/4 of an inch. This one goes on the top. And once again, just kind of eye up your border. Should be pretty equal all the way around. I do have a couple who have gotten the to-go kits. I do have an extra kit, but if you want it, you're going to have to let me know real quick, because I don't let these sit around very long. I usually go ahead and put them together so they're not taking up space, and I can move on to my next event. I did mount the heart on dimensionals, but what I want to do next is, this is heat embossed. That's how I got the white letters. I have tried using our craft ink, and it just is not white enough. It comes out kind of, I don't know, it dries out and it disappears on you. So I like to prep my piece of cardstock with the Embossing Buddy. We don't sell those anymore, but you can get them. It helps take the static electricity out of your paper, so any extra embossing fold powder. I'm going to say Happy Valentine's Day on mine, and I'm going to take a chance. What did I do with the... Oh, I put it right here. This is a photopolymer stamp, so how about if I just go ahead and get my piercing mat. Volume is low. Let me turn my volume up on my phone. I know when I step away, the volume goes down. Hopefully when I'm right here up underneath it, it's good. Alrighty, I just stamped it in the middle because I'm going to use a little die cut to cut that one out. Put that away. Move this out of our way. And bring in the embossing powder. I still use the tray. You can purchase these at craft stores. Stampin' Up did sell them. You know, they can't sell everything. They have to kind of rotate their market. Is the volume better? I'll speak up a little bit too. I've got my phone turned all the way up and I'm right under it, so it should be picking me up fine. I always like to make sure I've got lots on there. And set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and pour the extra powder back in the bottle and get it out of our way. One of my greatest concerns is whenever you're using this heat embossing tool that you forget to move your extra powder out of the way, and you end up melting it in the jar or melting it all over that little tray. And I like holding on to it with a tweezers so I'm not burning my fingers. It's going to be noisy. You probably won't be able to hear me now. Alrighty. I love to watch it melt and turn solid. Doesn't take very long. And with white, you don't want to overcook it. I call it cooking because it will turn it brown. Maybe I've done that once, and that's how I know. Yeah, you probably want to be careful. So I'm going to kind of center that and show you my little trick how I'm going to keep it in place. I have a little piece of washi tape, that I'm going to use to hold that in place. Only the washi tape has lost its washi. Let me get another piece. This is just some old retired stuff. You gotta find the end of it. It's a neat trick. It does not hurt the paper. That's the thing about washi. If you tried to use Scotch tape or something like that, it'd make a really big mess because it would pull your paper apart. Alright, die cut it. I'll be right back. I'll show you, just kind of gently pull that off. And look at that. You have your sentiment all ready to go. Put it back on its magnet. Yep. So pretty much almost done with this. Going to go ahead and put the heart on. And let's just put one in the middle just so it doesn't sag in the middle. It's kind of a bigger heart, probably 2 inches across this one. And I have it here where all these corners come together. I'm going to use a strip of seal. Excuse me, my coffee. And just stick that. And then the bling. The bling comes out is our iridescent rhinestones. I have this little extra strip in here I'm going to pull out. And I am going to go ahead and use a bigger one because I want to get rid of them. And it adds just that little bit of sparkle. It's not kind of almost not the first thing you see on the card, but whenever you really look at it and move it around, then you can see it. It sparkles. I think a man wouldn't mind getting a card like this. It's fun. It's not too girly. Yeah, it's on pink. You could probably just substitute out and put it on the dark purples, so it's not quite so pink, but I know grandchildren would like it. So our first card is Happy Valentine's, because that is the time of the year. So I'm going to move on to my next card. It's every time it's always hard to pick one that's my favorite card. But this stamp set is fun. It has rain boots. It has a watering can. It's called Flowering Rain Boots. And it has a flower pot. And then it can be a bundle. There are rain boot dies that we'll be using because we're going to use the rain boot. And shine. I think those are the things I need. Move this tub out of the way. Yep. Okay, I move that. Get out my rain boots. The clouds on this card are from the Sunshine and Rainbows, the designer series paper that is free with your $50 order. You can choose it. It has sunshine and rainbows. I was going to show you the piece of paper with the clouds. We had to cut them out by hand, but guess what? My punch came yesterday. After my, see, all these clouds, there's a punch. It's called a cloud punch that works to punch these out, but we had to cut ours out by hand. It doesn't take long, and they're not very difficult to cut out. So that's also the paper it's mounted on a piece of Pool Party. I'm going to use a different color on this card. I didn't want to just keep using up the same sheet, and sometimes when you start kind of changing out your look, the card kind of pops different. It looks different based on the color combination. And so our card base is our standard 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This is cut 4 by 5 1/4. I'm gonna go ahead and mount it on there. The back side of it, see, is sunshine, and it's a happy. I believe this is Bumblebee. I believe Bumblebee is one of our retiring in colors. I'm usually not a yellow person, but I love Bumblebee. It just looks like a bumblebee. Okay, mount that on there with a little border around our mat. Like I said, this is Pool Party. And I'm going to go ahead and mount it on there because we're stamping the boots and die cutting, and we're cutting those out by hand. So more than anything else, this is just another layer on your card that kind of centers those boots. I certainly couldn't put them flat on this dark, misty moonlight background. They would totally disappear. I'm not going to stick that just yet. And a strip for your inside. This is white, so all it needed. The best way to get through things is together. So, it's hiding in my box somewhere. I use Bermuda Bay because if you'll notice, this rainbow right here is darker than the Pool Party. And I needed a color that would kind of coordinate with Pool Party. You could choose any color for your rain boots. I could do these, the Magenta Madness. I probably should because it's retiring. So I'm just going to stamp this in the center. And yes, it's a photopolymer, and I probably should have used my mat. Oh, it worked. Whew. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the Rain or Shine, I'm Here For You sentiment. Kind of line that up just a little bit. And it needs to be, it can be centered, but I think I'm going to put it a little bit to the left so I can angle the end of the tag. Get these out of the way. Okay. Close this up. Let me get the punch. I'll punch those out right quick. Ouch. I am on Patty Bennett's team by virtue of the fact that my upline, Cheryl Spears, is directly down under Patty, so I'm her second level, and she offers rewards for your sales. She has a $600 club and a $1,000 club for demonstrators who have that much sales each month, and I was really blessed to have $600 in sales several months. So I was able to choose merchandise based on how much I had accumulated. So the Cloud Punch was one of the items that I got as a reward for hard work last year. Maybe I'm going to need I might can hold my mouth just right and get that to work. Yep. Close enough. So, boom. They are cut out. Easy. All right, I'm going to use the die to cut these out instead of sitting here doing it by hand. We had that discussion. Some people like to just do it by hand, and that's fine. I chose to not purchase one of the die sets at Christmas because I'm like, I'll just cut those by hand. almost didn't have it centered, but we're going with it. And put this back on the magnet. I don't want to lose my boot die. So I am ready to assemble. I think this one, I may like that dark blue background better than the lighter background. Sometimes I remember whenever I'm distributing the kits to give y'all an opportunity to choose your colors, and sometimes I just give you as close to what I had done. And I didn't mount the dies, the clouds on dimensionals, but I think for this card I'm going to mount this one on some dimensionals, and I'm going to mount my boots on dimensionals. I didn't my sample card, but several of the ladies were like, I think I'm going to put this on dimensionals. I'm like, you just go for it. So we're going to do dimensionals today. Alright, one more. It's pretty cute. And just kind of eye that up. Just choose an angle that you like. Angle it. Don't angle it. So I'm going to put a dimensional out here under the end that isn't on the boot, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive so it'll stick to the boot and also have dimension out here. Can't really put a dimensional here on the part that is on the boot, because then it's going to be whop joggle like that. You know, whop joggle. Alright. Tie bows. Some months we have ribbons and bows and knots on everything, and this month this was the only card that had twine or ribbon on it. I used 2 strands just to make it look a little, give it a little more oomph. And I'm going to use, I'm going to try to put 2 glue dots. And I have a roll of glue dots that is rolling off on the tail instead of staying on the roll in the middle. You just have to hold it differently. And this is actually up on the boot, but I'm going to put it right on the corner right there. Look at that. That is a really cute card. I'm going to go ahead and put my strip on the inside so I don't lose my strip. And this one does have rainbows. Hopefully I turned my rainbows the right way. I did. That would be kind of funny. Here I was talking about that heart paper. It didn't matter which way you turned it. This one, it kind of matters. Then our embellishments. It's kind of it was laying here on my table after I got it done, and I'm like, that looks kind of, I don't know, I know what it needs. It needs raindrops. So in our silver and clear epoxy essentials, there are raindrops. Some are silver, and I'm not sure where the silver card is. It's probably buried down here in the tub. Some are clear. So you kind of had your choice which one you wanted to use. And it's just the little detail that the card needed. Because, you know, rain or shine, I'm here for you. There you go. Card number 2. That's just a good, you know, sometimes we haven't gotten to be together a whole lot. with illness and everything that's going on. I don't have to say the word, you know what I mean. So send your friends a card. Let them know you're thinking of them. You're here for them. You miss them. All right, let's do an Otter card. You are utterly awesome. Move the rain out of the way. We made Otter Card a birthday card. Get a drink of my coffee talking. I have two versions of this card. I got to tell you the story on this one. I got the brilliant idea that maybe I would offer a couple of options. So I picked out, I think this is So Saffron. But then my blends came in. Stampin' Up on February 1st is going to release new Stampin' blends in multiple skin colors. And they came in. Look at this. There are, okay, 5 different options. They come packaged in a set of 2. They are numbered. They say Stampin' Up, this is Stampin' Up 200, Stampin' Up 100, Stampin' Up 800, Stampin' Up 700. So they're paired up. They're $9 a package. You can buy one or all. So mine came in, and there's been a lot of talk. Demonstrators have been able to use these now for the last month or so because they released them to us early about coloring animals with them, not just skin tones. I haven't made any samples yet with the stamp set that will be available. That and I don't know where I've laid it now. When I moved everything back into my room, I'm not seeing it. But they've got a stamp set that coordinates and some designer series paper, and then you can color just to your heart's content. So the story about this is I decided to color a different otter. I had used crumb cake on my sample card, and then I got a little carried away on this guy. But you know, otters are like humans. They come in different colors. They're not just brown or solid. They have variegation to their pelts, skins, fur, whatever you call it. So he's I'm not sure he's my favorite, but I'm going to make today the one with the yellow. I think it's So Saffron. I don't think it's Crushed Curry. Kind of move these out of the way. They take up the whole table. And I am going to attempt to color Mr. Otter yet another color. I probably should have looked up to see what color are otters, but I didn't. The paper is, oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I do. It's the flowery one. Yeah, you know, the flowery one. The daffodil. Daffodil Afternoon. It's the back side of one of the patterns. Huh, who knew? Because, you know, if you looked at this and you went, I don't like daffodils, I don't want daffodils. Well, the back side of the paper does have daffodils, but then there's also some of the graphic patterns on the back side, like a check. Totally unexpected. Now it coordinates with the colors of the daffodils. So for this one, pick strips of the black check. Oh no, I'm probably off camera. I'm used to the side to side, so this is, I'm having to do a lot of thinking and talking and thinking and talking and talking and thinking. Oh, I need to move it down a dab. It should kind of center on here. I like putting my two edges on. We had that discussion in class. What do I do first? Because if you put your two edges on, then you can center this centerpiece based on where those edges ended up. Move you out of the way. Oh man, it's stuck. I'll have to use my adhesive remover, which I purchased at a craft store. It's like an eraser. I don't know, it just picks up that adhesive. Because for sure if you leave it on your card, it's going to stick to everything it comes in contact with. Get the center one. 11:30. And then this way you can just kind of put it in between the two of those. Just like that. And then center it on your card if you want it centered. Now the neat thing about these card kits, you may see something I don't see. And I encourage creativity. You know, change it up. If you don't like the way I did it, you've got a starting spot. My card is your inspiration card. So I'm going to do birthday time. It's a little teeny tiny guy, and I went ahead and did the die cutting. This tag came out of the messages die, and that messages die, oh, I don't have it in here. Hang on, I gotta get it. You could run a piece of cardstock through and get all these dies, which is great if you want to like do some work ahead of time and have them sitting around. But what I needed, I just needed this one. So I cut little strips of paper. In fact, it's my scrap paper that whenever I'm cutting large, the 8.5 down to 4 by 5 1/4, I have 1/4 inch strips. And they were perfect. It was a good way to get rid of 1/4 inch strips. So I did the die cutting because it was going to be too hard to explain to the class where you got your tag from. And they just enjoy making the cards. They don't really want to have to do, you know, they didn't want to have to figure out, oh my goodness, how am I going to get that die cut? See? So you just kind of line that guy up. It's actually, that one fits really well. It wasn't hard at all to stamp. I don't think anybody messed up. I had some extras. I always try to do some extras because it is challenging. And if you don't craft a lot, you know, it's hard to hit the center of that. And I want you to be happy with what you make. I want you to feel proud of it. So offer opportunities. Sure, you don't like that? I have extra pieces. Don't be shy. Oh, I didn't stamp his hat. What did I do with it? Right here. Use my blingy. But we're cutting it out, so excuse me. Oops. And you stamp his hat because this is a party animal. And alrighty, I know I don't want crumb cake. Let me see what color this one ends up being. And I'm going to use just a scratched piece of paper. I think 500. If there is 900. 1,000. 400, 300, 800. Probably, nope. 7. Crumb cake. One of them might still be in the tub. Nope. Alright, well, I'm just going to start coloring. I love to color with Stampin' Blends. I think I tell you that every time. You don't have to push down hard to get your color to come out. It's not like trying to color with crayons or markers. You really just have to touch the paper and it does the work for you. I think that's another reason why I like them. They're easy to color with. And you can lay the color on, like every time you go over it, it makes it a little darker. Add some, see how it right here, it's darker and lighter. If you don't like that, you can just come back in and fill it. I would caution you about continuing to do that, because at some point, you probably would just work your way right through the paper. These are alcohol based, not water based. So they're easier on the cardstock than our water markers. You do have to be careful with those. And it plays nicely with the Memento ink. It doesn't cause it to bleed. See, I think that, I kind of like the, that it's not solid. Because, like I said, animals aren't solid. Let's see what his belly turns out like. I want this end. I think those would work together. Maybe too pink, but I want his belly lighter, because most animals, their bellies are lighter. Kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? His nose. Well, should I color his nose? I may open one of these and color it dark. Oh yeah, you can't see the detail lines because it's so dark. And let's make his hat. I don't know why I'm calling it a he. This is a he, you know. Let's do Calypso Coral. I don't think I want to do that one. We can do... I don't know where my yellow marker went. Probably in another tub, because we were switching and swapping. We're going to do crumb cake, Cajun Craze. Might be kind of dark for a birthday, but whatever. You know what? I'm going to use the nub end, because these little things are so small. That brush is too big. Remember that trick. When you're trying to color these small areas, you might want to use the little nub end. That'll be cute. And we'll cut these out by hand. And it depends on how you want to do this party hat. If you want to put it on top of his head or behind his head. And I'm going to leave a little tail here so I can kind of show you what I mean by behind his head. I think I ended up doing both of these just on top. And I just sort of cut around. No rhyme or reason to that. I like leaving a little bit of edge. And of course, they've given him hair that sticks out, so it works better if you leave a little edge instead of trying to cut him right along the black line. So just whittle him down here. Doesn't take real long. I'm moving the paper, not really my scissors. Whenever I get up in detail, I'm just spinning that paper. We did a lot of fussy cutting on these cards. I kind of had to laugh. They turn out different every month. I maybe didn't plan that very well, but got all done and looked at them. I went, ooh, they're going to have to do a lot of cutting by hand. That's what fussy cutting is. But it's an opportunity to slow down, relax. You know, card class isn't meant to be a fast and furious event. It's meant to be enjoyable, relaxing. I do most of the work. I mean, granted, you do have to do stamping. Oh, I think he's going to be pretty cute. So his hat, if you wanted to put it, and that's how I'm going to do this one, because that looks pretty cute. His little hair sticking up. And you know, that would be accurate for some kids. They got hair going everywhere. I'm going to use a glue dot on this little tab. Where in the world? Oh, I keep forgetting. They're on the tail. See, I'm used to them being on the roll. What I did with the roll I had before this one is I took an empty roll and I re-rolled it. Oops. And yes, I put that on the front of, because I'm going to put it behind right here. So you kind of have to stop and think a little bit. He is mounted on dimensionals. So I'm going to put one on his hat. I think 3 will get him. And he can be at an angle because he's a happy little guy. And then it's birthday time. And I would use mini, M-I-N-I, dimensionals out here on the end that is, and then use a glue dot on the end that's on his belly. And the glue dot fits perfectly. It's just the right size. I'm not going to take my release paper off until I get that left end stuck down. And my inside says, let me get the card that has the inside stamped, for someone who is wonderful in each and every way. And then there is a strip of designer series paper. And I am going to go ahead and put that in on my card. The embellishments are our new hexagon. Well, they're just called hexagons. I was trying to think of the other word. They call them dots and dies and all things, but we use the black ones. And you think, oh, black on black, it kind of gets lost. But actually, on this card, they show up in person. They maybe don't show up really well on the camera, but they show up. And the neat thing about it, if you wanted to stick it down in here, you could. I'm not going to. Just put one right there. There are 3 different sizes, so I can. I like to put them around the sentiment, and it kind of pulls attention to its birthday time. So the Awesome Otters is a stamp set that you can earn with a $50 order. I do have an active host code that I will post in the description of this video whenever I'm done. All right, let me if you're interested in placing a $50 order and to get this for free, the daffodil paper for free, the, what else have we used? Oh, the Sunshine and Happiness, the one with the sunshine and rainbows, that paper is free. Then you can use that host code. I'll just make a link for you. And you're not having to figure out if you're at the right site or not. Alright, so our next card is a baby card. Because each month I kind of ask, what would you like to do next time? And I had requests for a baby card. So I ordered the Wildly, get some things out of the way here so I can get to it. Wildly Adorable stamp set. So they have 3 cute little babies dressed up in bunny ears and a little lion costume, maybe a bear. I'm not sure what this one is supposed to be. So this is a fun fold card. I always try to keep it interesting. It opens like this. So the challenging part for the prep is to cut my paper in half at 4 1/4. But then the scoring, in order to make it the traditional 5 1/2, I had to score it at 2 7/8. No, 2 3. What's half of 5 1/2? 2 3/4. And 2 3/4. Nope, that's not right either. I forgot the math. But it involves eighth of an inch. 2 1/2. 2 3/4. I knew I'd get it right in a minute. And 2 3/4. And then I cut, there is a panel on here that is embossed, and it's at 4 5 1/4, but then it's cut in half at 2 3/8. And there are 2 pieces in your kit. And when you mount them on your card base, you mount them right up to the edge and to the edge. Because when you fold it, I'll show you as we make it, they're going to just touch. I had to trim the cardstock just a little bit because our cardstock is very generous. It's like a 1/16 of an inch wider and longer than advertised. So it makes it kind of challenging whenever you are scoring and folding. Then there's Designer Series paper. This was out of the Regals pack. And this is out of the Valentine pack. I'm going to do mine in Old Olive. This one is in, it's not so saffron. Maybe Mango Melody. And some were in the Bermuda Bay. Alright, so this is for my baby. This is the heart for the center. My card base. So for demonstration purposes, I didn't do both of my folds yet. I did do the scoring for you so that you didn't have to try to figure out. If you take my bundle classes, you know, I make you do some of this yourself so that you kind of learn how to make a card from the very beginning and the work's not half done for you. But for card class, and then this piece is going to just butt right up. And we're using the Gingham embossing folder, which is part of the Valentine suite of products in the new little mini catalog. We're going to lay it in here. I just butt it up together. You're not going to really be able to see the pattern necessarily, but if I had not cut this piece of paper in half, that's how it would have been. And I'm going to run it through the embossing over here. And get it embossed. The cool thing about this design, it's the same on both sides. So you're not having to worry about, do I have both of them the same? And see, they're just going to butt right up. I'm going to go ahead and do and get it stuck down. Adhere it. Different ways of saying the same thing. Just using my seal. And I find it's a little bit easier to see the edge if I lay it out like this, and then I can eye up my right and left side. And that'll give me that little bit of matte on that edge. I'm going to stick some along. Right up to the edge. And then this piece is just centered on the Designer Series paper. Just with a little bit of matte sticking out from under it. It doesn't exactly, this is Granny Apple Green and Old Olive, but they look okay together. Now, when you're in here adhering it to your card front, only put your adhesive along the top edge, or the edge that is going to be your top. And I put it probably a little bit more than halfway down. You could definitely just do it halfway, because when you open it, you're going to see the back. So you kind of, you know, you want more than just a little bit to show. So that's kind of the neat thing about these fun folds. All right, so our baby is, I'm going to use the lion. That may be where my yellow ended up. And I just stamped them in Granny Apple Green. Not really a rhyme nor reason, except that I was thinking that was how I was going to leave it. But I didn't really like that look, so I colored mine. It could be stamped in black and be perfectly fine. So I think I will go ahead and color this guy. There's dark daffodil. Dark daffodil. Yeah, I definitely ended up. And then light daffodil. I could color him with the lovely markers that came. Oh, why did I pick this end? But I don't want to dig them back out. That's the short story on that. So let's get him colored. Okie. I'm leaving his stomach white. This is just a little costume, so you know it's not realistic. Get him colored. And this is another one that we cut out by hand, fussy cut. My inspiration card for this one actually used the die cuts of the onesies. I don't have them, so you guys get to do the work. And let's do the nub end here. Just to color his fringe. Fringe actually has a lot of detail in it. Kind of cool. And it would be cute colored like a line. was trying to make this be appropriate for a boy or a girl, and not just obviously a boy or obviously a girl. So it's another reason I picked yellow. So you could use markers, you could use our watercolor pencils, because those work kind of like map colors. You would not have to use a blender pen. You could leave them just like they were when you colored with them and not try to do the blending. And then I believe those little tufts are probably the baby's hair. Let's give it a little bit of soft suede hair. Yeah. Getting fussy cut. My next card class will be the end of February. Emails will be going out after the 1st of February. I don't like to send them out too early. I'm planning on a bundle class in March, so watch for details about that. Celebration goes until February the 28th. They also have a joining special right now. If you would like to be a happy shopper and get a discount on your orders, you can join my team, sign up. It sounds scary no matter how you say it. $99, you get to pick $125 in product and choose 2 free stamp sets of your choice. I think there's one that you can't choose, but we could work on that. So it's a really good value when you get to start choosing those stamp sets, because they're anywhere from $24 up to $35-ish. And they always say, pick the expensive ones. There is no obligation to do anything other than just get a discount on your own purchases. So when they have the joining specials, that's a great time to do that. If you're interested in more details, we can talk about it. There are some requirements as far as minimum purchases every 3 months. So I don't want to make it sound like, yeah, you join up and that's all. There's a bit of a commitment, but not to have parties, not to do anything with it. Because when I joined, I was just going to be a happy shopper. But I had friends that were like, you know, if you would have a party, I would come. So one thing led to another, and I had a party, and they purchased, and I'm like, well, this is fun. So I enjoy having y'all come, make cards, help me so that I can purchase things that I like. Because even when things retire, sometimes I will keep certain things that just become mine. Alrighty, so the double oval punch. I punched out, yeah, it's not big enough. I punched out the scalloped one. Give it a little tail here. And why am I doing it backwards? I don't know. Do it this way. Well, my tail was in the way that time. So when you stamp, then you get to kind of line that up the way you want it. You're not dependent on hitting the center of something that's already punched out. And punches are easy to punch out things with, so I'll let y'all do that. But I did do your punching on the Daffodil Delight paper. So you're welcome, baby. I put mine on flat. I had put him on dimensionals. Him, her, the baby, on dimensionals. And I just didn't think this needed to be dimensional too. You know, that's a word, dimensional. I just made it up. Alright, kind of center that under everything. Since it was Valentine, I had a ton of hearts that I had cut out for another project sitting here on my table, and they were sparkly, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do with my leftover hearts, because everybody loves a baby. So, you benefited from that little happy chance. And one more. No, my arm is like probably right up in your face. So that puts the bling on your baby. And inside, this calls for a Sale-a-bration. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. We have one more card to make. The driving by to say hi. I accidentally inked my block. And yes, I do that too. And then I have a strip of paper running around here somewhere. I stamped a baby on the inside, and I did not color it because if you remember, the alcohol markers bleed through, and you will end up with a mess on the back of your card. So that's why it's only stamped on the inside. And you could use your markers and color it if you have markers, because markers don't bleed through, but the Stampin' Blends bleed through. Oh, that was what was on the inside, was the baby. There was not a strip of designer series paper. All right, I don't think you're going to lay flat. I'm going to help you. There. While I switch out and get the last card. We made a Slimline card. I had that request also. Did you know that Stampin' Up now sells Slimline envelopes in the new mini catalog? Let me find what page. Page 53. 52, 53. You almost miss them. I did. I didn't. They're right here. Slimline envelopes. But they also now have Slimline card dies. I have not purchased those yet. Not sure I really like these dies. Slimline cards are basically business size envelope size. So to make one, you have to cut your paper a little differently. It's you keep the 11-inch, and mine is cut at 7 inches by 11 inches, and it's scored then at 3.5, and it fits perfectly into the envelope. An envelope, and it just fits right in. So I don't think that you could do it much bigger. Nope, I don't think the 8 by 11 would work. It's got to be 7. Measure it. 3.5. Yep, 7. Scored at 3.5. So you have to think. This is one of those you kind of had to think which way you needed to turn your paper to get your card base ready. I'm going to show you a cute Valentine card that I made last weekend in a class. It's a Slimline, and it goes up and down. We use the ladybug dies and the Valentine paper. So next month I already have my plans for the Slimline card. So this one, we are using one of the free stamp sets called Driving By. Back in the 70s, 60s probably, my mom had a VW van. She was our Girl Scout leader out here in the community where I live, and it was a great way to haul a group of Girl Scouts. So it wasn't all decorated up. I think it was pale blue, aqua. Those Slimline envelopes come in 3 different colors, by the way. They come in soft succulent, gray, and white. This one doesn't exactly look okay with that, but that's how I matched that up. So what we did, I know I love these Slimline cards. They're different. Very different. Oh, I ended up with a white envelope by accident for mine. I tried to give my ladies the white envelopes because they just looked nicer. Okie dokie. This is another one that we had to do some of our own cutting. Fussy cutting. Here's what I'm looking for. So, I cut up paper. I just went through, picked out different colors that I thought a VW van would look cute. I don't really think the gold stripe. I had flowers, but most of the flowers that I could find right quickly were really large. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. But today I was thinking I might do those too. So I was telling them, yes, you have a tree with no leaves, and your tree really needs to go on first. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the silicone mat and my seal in order to get sticky on the back. When I'm just crafting by myself, I use the liquid glue that is contraband. But for you guys, I'll remind you that we do have these silicone mats, and they are great whenever you're rolling on the seal that is wider than your little thing you're putting it on. You know what? I'm not going to do that just yet because the sky has a little bit of detail in it. You can see it's got a little bit of blue. Stuck to it. It's working up and down. I hope I can figure out how to change the orientation. We added a little detail for our sky, a blending brush and balmy blue. And we're just going to put some blue on there. Just adds, it was just too white. You just can't do that. And I didn't want my sky really, really blue. I just wanted you to get the hint that it was no longer just plain white. We've had some gorgeous blue skies here lately. I don't know if you've noticed them or not, but and sometimes they are solid blue. There isn't any variation. It seems to be the variation is when there are some clouds in the sky. So our blending brushes are great for adding. It's not solid, but it adds a detail. You can layer on colors. I'm just not that patient. And yeah, we have a few clouds floating by today. So I stamped it once full strength. Stamp it off. So add some clouds. And I have, where are my birds? Oh, here are my birds. Bird, you can call me Flower if you want to. I love Bambi. Oh, good grief. I have on a dark blue shirt, so that's fine. Alright, I'm going to do both of these birds today. And you have to be careful and not rock on that ink pad. And I'm going to take one of them off. And add a second bird. Because we have a lot of buzzards. Oh. We live close to some power lines, and those buzzards love to roost on those power lines. You want to rub to get the extra adhesive off. Now, the reason I chose green, it just needed something. The black, of course, represents the road. Where did my black go? It's not in there. I had it. Okay. My clouds and birds came from after the storm. We used this set last month to make that sunshine card, if you'll remember. I'm looking for my black strip for my road. It's, oh, never mind, it's turned upside down. So this is a field of either winter wheat or ryegrass. I had to come up with some story of why I picked the black and the green. I'm going to cut mine the same length. I did that to some of you guys. I forgot to trim off one of the strips. So I'm just going to put them together and give it a little haircut. And my strips are narrower than yours. I marked this particular kit for me. I do that sometimes. I'll take the kit for the demonstration that I have made mistakes on, so that I can show different ways of overcoming your mess. So the vans are going to bebop along the road, going by the field of ryegrass or winter wheat. The tree is naked because it is this time of the year in our little scene. It's kind of a cross. It's driving by to say hi. And on the inside I've put, you have been on my mind. I've been sending a lot of cards lately to church people who are going through some really tough stuff. And, you know, you don't want to be all, woo, chipper, happy, everything's going to be okay. You mostly just want to let them know you're thinking of them. So for this scene, in my mind, I was addressing that, yeah, these are dark times. It's winter. It's gloomy. But you've been on my mind, and I know you are on the Lord's mind, and that He's taking care of you, and that He sees you, and He knows what's going on, and He loves you. It's just a chance to, it's a ministry to be able to share positivity. This is our marker. And I could have used the Stampin' Blends, but it seemed like I use them on everything, so I thought I would use the marker this time. And our markers do have a brush end and the little nub end. And I'm coloring the tires because the tires are black. And they look kind of silly. They don't really stand out. And you could color this VW. Just stamp it on cardstock and color it all out. I've seen cards that artists do. It's just amazing. Their patience and their eye, how they put color on to make them really awesome. But I thought it'd be fun to do them out of designer series paper. Because, you know, VW vans, they were usually dressed up pretty good. Especially the hippies. They flower power, stickers, happy faces. So this little van is going to be one of those that is owned by a hippie. It may be too bright. We're almost done for these cards. I saved the happy one for last. And once again, we get to cut out by hand. So for this class, we had the fun fold card with for the baby card that folded in the center. That's one that you could use that layout for lots of other cards. That one was cut at 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 2 3/4 from each end. That's how I do it. I think the instructions that I had, it scored at 2 3/4 and 8 and something. So we probably need to vote on that van. That van may be a little over the top. I may not stick him on. I may redo him later. In my mind, I thought he would work out really, really cute. But he may be really, really... You can't see the detail. You just see all the pattern. Thank you for watching me, Margene. I appreciate it. It's way more fun to know that I'm speaking to at least one person. I know there will be others who will watch. They just didn't get to watch live. I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you think about that van? Tell me. Oh, you can't see it. Let me move it over. Move this out of the way. I like this one. I like the one with the hearts for real. I guess I should put them kind of down on the road. It's pretty cute. And I'm thinking maybe if you embossed it, the lines would show up better. The lines are pretty small. So it was simple enough, the sentiment, just to stamp right on the clouds. It's in black, memento, so it's easy enough to see. You could definitely put it on a tag. Oops. Get out of my way. Just want to make sure I get it on pretty straight. Ah! Hit the light. Pretty straight. I know it's kind of cute. I'm not going to stick it down though because I am done. It is, oh my goodness, it's after 12 o'clock. I'm sorry. It just takes a while. It just takes a while. So let me put this card. Driving by to say hi. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I will put the link with the host code if you would like to place an order. You can link to that host code. If it's more than $50, you can pick out your items for free. They'll come directly to your house. My next class is February the 24th. I usually do a 1:30 and a 5:30, but it's totally flexible. If you can't get here at 1:30, but you can come at 2:30, that'll work too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hi, Betty. I see you're watching. I'm just now done. I'm going to sign off now. Bye.